In 1976, Frink set up a home in Dorset, and it was here, amongst the idyllic countryside, that Frink found inspiration.
I'm going to be exploring her relationship to Dorset further, coming face to face with some of the most significant sculptures of her career.
And the legacy she left behind. Before Dorset, she had already made a name for herself as a sculptor with a unique eye and talent. She was well known for work such as her Horse and Rider and a lectern for the newly built cathedral at Coventry.
Frink sculpted animals throughout her career. In fact, her earliest success was this piece, Bird, which was bought by the Tate in 1952 when she was only in her early 20s. Frink wasn't really interested in anatomical precision. Instead, she wanted to capture the essence of the bird or the animal, its spirit. And she said that when she was sculpting or drawing her animals, she was much more interested in capturing how they made her feel rather than how they were in real life. What's so interesting about these pieces is that it not only showcases her technique, so they're her plaster models when she was really thinking through her ideas, but they show how she was influenced by landscape, by her surroundings. So Frink was in France and she saw some flamingos standing in the lake, and their shimmering reflection in the haze really sparked her imagination. And she wanted to recreate that feeling in her sculptures. But really, it was in Dorset that they took on a whole new life, where she sited the 2 meters tall sculptures in her lake at home, and again creating that shimmering reflection of water, giving another dimension to the sculptures.
Frink believed that sculptures should be seen both inside and outside, and that being sited outdoors in landscape provided an additional spatial element and meaning to the work. The light revealed textures within the bronze, and she played with different types of plinths, seeing what different heights might work.
We can see from the maquettes and sculptures here that what she really wanted to do was showcase the joy that animals gave her and the respect she had for the animal kingdom.
Her animals have a dignity and presence, and Frink believed that humans should treat other species as equals. She felt there was a special relationship between humans and animals. In her Horse and Rider sculptures, Frink rarely shows the rider using traditional equipment such as reins. She wanted to show that humans and horses were equals and had a timeless relationship. But her depictions of humans will be something very different.
This spooky, alert figure is called Seated Mantu, and it was made in 1986. One of the abiding themes of Frink's career is her fascination with the male figure and the complexities of masculinity. Frink grew up in Suffolk, near an airbase during the Second World War, and she came from an army background. This really contributed to her interest in what she saw as the duality of masculinity. How physical strength can coexist alongside vulnerability, how hubris can lead to the downfall of man. And these were themes she further explored in a series of sculptures called the Riace Warriors. These works were inspired by some ancient Greek bronzes found in the sea off the coast of Calabria in Italy in 1972.
Ancient Greeks painted the faces of warriors to create an illusion of larger and more intimidating facial features, instilling a sense of fear and awe on the battlefield. Frink uses the same technique and had a number of these intimidating figures stalking her landscape at Woolland.
In seeking to reimagine those classical figures, Frink was exploring the timeless aspect of the human condition. She was seeking to create a dialogue between our ancient past and the contemporary human experience. What saddened Frink was the fact that thousands of years after those original bronzes had been made, we were still at war with one another. That humans were still capable of terrible acts of aggression and violence towards our fellow man.
Frink also created these ominous bronze heads, known as goggle heads, that took a more contemporary approach to these themes. She was hugely interested in contemporary politics, and this work was inspired by the Ben Barker scandal. Frink had seen a newspaper image of General Oufkir, a Moroccan official thought to be linked to the affair, and was inspired to make this thuggish, brutish image of a man. The sunglasses are important to note. In Frink's work, eyes have huge resonance and meaning, but here, the eyes are unseeing. We can't connect. There is no humanity behind the glasses. Frink was a fervent supporter of human rights and worked with Amnesty International on campaigns against injustice and equality everywhere. Her tribute heads are made in support of victims of violence and oppression. They are not intended to be specific individuals, but rather universal archetypes, paying homage to the human capacity for endurance and survival in the face of adversity.
We can see this endurance depicted again, but this time through the female form. Frink only sculpted the female figure twice in her career, once as a student, and the second time was this, her walking Madonna made in 1981. When we think about the Madonna in art history, we might imagine a younger woman, babe in arms, or the Pieta, where she's heavy with grief. This is a different rendering of the Madonna. Here she's an older woman. The grief is still etched on her face, but there's dignity in her posture and her gait. She's literally putting her best foot forward. And to me, she's a symbol of strength and hope.
In 1991, Frink was diagnosed with cancer. When she was in hospital recovering from an operation, her friend sent her a book on the Green Man. The Green Man, often depicted with a face surrounded by foliage, is a symbol rooted in mythology and folklore, representing the eternal cycle of renewal and rebirth in nature. It was a symbol Frink was increasingly drawn to towards the end of her life.
This is the maquette for her final commission, the Risen Christ at Liverpool Cathedral. The Risen Christ had a particular meaning for Frink. Like the Green Man, it was a symbol of renewal and rebirth. Frink had a Catholic upbringing, but she wasn't religious as an adult, although her commissions for churches and cathedrals show her understanding of and respect for the Christian traditions. She had really strong ethical and moral views, and she believed that all people and cultures deserved respect. And it's so poignant when we know that Frink was working on this whilst undergoing treatment for cancer, and it would be her final commission. Frink continued to work through the same themes throughout her career, but it was here in Dorset that she found artistic maturity and a coming together of her childhood imagination. Her legacy remains in Dorset through the gift of works to the Dorset Museum and Art Gallery by her late son, L'In Jamais. But her ties to Dorset go even deeper because it's home to one of her most important and best-known public sculptures, the Dorset Martyrs.
This powerful, evocative sculpture, tied to the history of Dorset and to Frink's own personal history, is a coming together of her artistic vision. Many other Frink sculptures can be found in different parts of the UK. And as wars continue and environmental concerns mount, Frink's work seems eerily prescient and perhaps ever more important to seek out.